The Chicago Bears season has now officially come to an end after a win against the Green Bay Packers. What was, I think, easily can be attributed to being a disappointing season for the Chicago Bears. The Bears now get to shift their focus to doing what needs to be done this offseason to fix this team and fix the direction of the team and culture overall. One of the biggest first steps in that is going to be choosing the head coach. We got several updates about the Bears head coaching search, as well as a surprise candidate and the Bears officially requesting an interview with the previously mentioned candidate. We're going to talk about it all and more and dive into the mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it for today, man. So I'd be remiss if I did not start this off talking about the Chicago Bears and them getting a victory over the Green Bay Packers, our first time beating the Packers since 2018. And it's great to see. I mean, listen, I get it. There's a lot of things situationally that went into that game. Jordan Love getting hurt coming out of that game. The Green Bay Packers already having basically everything locked up. So nowhere are we saying this is some type of staple win or anything like that. But it's just a feel-good moment, I think, for the Chicago Bears and Bears fans that have dealt with this season. And we get to end on something, at least that we beat the Packers, right? But in no way does this dissuade or this should blind people to exactly what's needed, right, for the Chicago Bears. When it comes down to it, they got a ton of work to do in the offseason. So it's great. Good to hear. Look, you're coming off of it with a win. At the end of the day, DJ Moore, who ended it by saying we beat the Packers, fuck them, right? So shout out to DJ Moore saying that and them understanding the moment. But the most important thing is the Bears righting this ship and getting things together. And we got several updates in regards to what's going on here. I'm going to start off with one of the ones that's kind of more surprising, I guess, in a way. The Chicago Bears reportedly have interest in Vance Joseph and interviewing him for their next head coach. Now, the Bears have been tons of candidates have been mentioned from, Thomas Brown, who we did hear. Ryan Poles did say that Thomas Brown will get a chance to interview. Ryan Poles even saying that he's excited to hear what Thomas Brown's perspective and what he's going to have to say. Yeah, I have my thoughts on that. Right, Thomas Brown, Cliff Kingsbury, Mike Vrabel, right? Who Mike Vrabel now, a lot of people kind of seem that he's probably going to get that Patriots job. Again, it's a lot of assumption that's going into that, but it's a valid assumption. I think it's a valid case that you can look at and say it makes a lot of sense for Vrabel to go there to the Patriots. So he may be off the board. Brian Flores, Anthony Weaver, Aaron Glenn, Pete Carroll, right? That's outside of Ben Johnson and all those guys, but it looks like Vance Joseph now, who is a former head coach. He had a 2-year run as the head coach of the Denver Broncos in 2017 and 18. He went 11-21 over that, so it wasn't a great case. Now he went on to go some other places, after that, after his head coaching run with the Denver Broncos. He's the defensive coordinator with the Miami Dolphins in 2016. Before that, he also was the defensive back coach with the Cincinnati Bengals. But after his head coaching run with the Broncos, he went to be the defensive coordinator of the Arizona Cardinals from 2019 to 2022. And then he actually went back to the Denver Broncos to become their defensive coordinator, and that's where he is right now. He is a former player, right? In his playing career, he played for the Jets, the Colts, the Denver Broncos, and the Orlando Predators as well, right? So he is a former professional football, football player as well. He's 52 years old, and this is the Bears going back to casting that wide net, right? And I know there are some Bears fans, a segment of Bears fans that they actually want to see the Bears interview less people, and somebody voiced it when we went live on the Anthony Weaver thing. Is that he actually is like, well, why are you interviewing so many people? Interview just the people, like the cream of the crop, and figure it out from there. And the way that I personally view it, right? And I'm not saying that this is the way that everybody should view it, but the way that I personally view it is that you want to interview as many people as possible. Yes, you still want to make a time. I think the Bears need to have a date set on when they need to make this decision. You want to have a first round of interviews. You want to cut some of those people, have a second round of interviews, and maybe even a third round of interviews, right? But when you interview more people, you get more varying opinions, and you can contrast those against other people, right? Because you're going to want to hear what the mindset and what the plan is that these coaches will have, not just for just Caleb Williams, but overall. Who do they want for a staff? What type of system they want to run? All those type of things. What system they feel like would get the best out of the players that they have here? What type of players will they need for their system to be successful? You want all of that. You want all of that information, all of that data. But that's just the type of person I am. I want all the data possible before I make a decision. And maybe that's why I'm not a football GM. Maybe they should restrict it. But the Bears now, wanting to interview Vance Joseph is kind of a something that not a lot of people expect. I hadn't even heard his name brought up before this came out that the Bears have some interest in him. So we'll see what happens with that one. Overall, I'll say this, right, is that the Bears are going to do everything that they can to try to find the right head coach, which they should. I have no problems with them going out and finding the right guy. Again, I'm not somebody who has the mindset of you don't want to go first time, you want to go first time, you want to go veteran, you don't want to go veteran head coach. I just want the Bears to get the right guy for this job. And even if it's a guy that I may not feel as strong about as, maybe some of the other candidates, if it ends up being the right guy, that's the most important thing. And so with that said, the Bears have also now officially requested to interview Anthony Weaver for their head coaching position. This one comes from The Athletic's Diana Rossini. This just came out this morning. We knew that they had wanted to interview him. Now they formally requested to interview him as well. So, we'll see what happens there, man. Anthony Weaver is another guy who, reportedly he was drawing interest from the Bears and some other people as well. And we'll see what happens there. Anthony Weaver is a guy that I think he's going to get an opportunity. And, when you look at, he very much so kind of fits what the Bears have done prior in years before as far as the head coaching search. Defensive-minded guy, a stern guy when it comes down to it. He's coached a lot of different roles and things like that. So, we'll see what happens there. But, this is now the Bears are starting to put out those fillers. They're starting to also put out some of those, a formal requests. Probably by the end of this week, you'll probably get a lot. You probably get a lot of formal requests by the Bears over the next couple of weeks. It's probably what you're going to get. As my brain had to reset there for a second, right? So it is what it is there. So you're going to get a lot of formal requests here from the Bears over the next couple of weeks. Of course, there's some guys that are going to have to wait and see. But we'll see what happens there. But when it comes down to it, we know that the Bears have now put in interview requests for Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn officially, right? And they can interview Ben Johnson over the course of the bye week, which is something that we already knew. The Bears are wasting no time right now getting these guys in. This one comes from Tom Pellericcio as well, that early this morning, the Bears have submitted interview requests for Ben Johnson officially and Aaron Glenn. So Ben Johnson, which is a lot of guys' favorites, we put a poll out both on Twitter and on the YouTube community tab, which we're going to start doing more of. So if you're following us in either area, look out for those. Voice your opinion. We want to hear from Bears fans. But Ben Johnson's still the overwhelming favorite right now by most Bears fans when you poll them as far as coaching candidates that the Bears that fans want to see the Bears hire. So of course, I always say some of that comes with narrative because of the media covering it and things like that. But either way, that's what's happening here. And the Ben Johnson thing reportedly got an extra kick, maybe that could help the Bears, because it was reported that the Jacksonville Jaguars could have been a team that Ben Johnson maybe even valued a little bit more than the Chicago Bears, considering alignment, right? They were expected to kind of fire their GM. They did fire their head coach. No surprise there. But they actually said that their GM is staying on. So it kind of puts those situations on even playing field with the Chicago Bears, with Ryan Poles. I know that a lot of Bears fans aren't going to want to hear this, but per everything that we have right now, Ryan Poles, until further notice and things change, he's going to be the GM. He's going to be the guy who's running this operation. He's going to be the guy that's running these interviews. And so the fact that there have been formal requests now put in to interview Ben Johnson, and we'll see what happens there. Alignment is something that we've hearing a lot of, that these candidates are looking at what the alignment is going to be. And the Bears are going to have to also sell themselves to these coaching candidates. So the Bears have put in those formal requests. We'll see when those interviews get scheduled. But shout out to the Bears for being aggressive on day one after the season ends, putting in requests and doing what needs to be done. Yeah, it's sensible, right? I'm not going to give them too much kudos for it because it's what should have been done anyway. But hey, the Bears haven't always been a franchise that has done the things that have made sense, right? So because of that, we'll see what happens. So far, who we know is going to interview for sure, Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, is officially going to get an interview as well. The Bears have also said, per Ryan Poles, that Thomas Brown is going to get an opportunity to interview, and we'll see what happens with the other rumored candidates as well. But as of right now, the Bears are starting their coaching search early. Let's see how many rounds of interviews and who all that they bring in. But yeah, I can't wait to hear the details that kind of come out of this. We know that there's going to be tons of rumors. We'll see if they officially interview somebody like Brian Flores as well, who I like Brian Flores. He's one of my favorite candidates, but I just don't think he's going to come here for the Chicago Bears. It just is what it is when it comes down to it. But, overall, the Bears got the things that they need to focus on, and the head coaching is the first thing up. After the head coaching search, that's when the Bears get into the nitty-gritty of they got to do evaluations, free agency, draft. Coach got to hire their staff, right? So since the Lions did have a bye week, the Bears get to work. They get to interview a lot of candidates here, and with Mike Vrabel maybe being somebody who's off the list now because he's probably going to go down to the Patriots. We'll see what happens there. Let me know what you guys think, as always, down below. But after game days, I like to have a little pseudo mailbag when it comes down into it as well, man. Let's go ahead and get into this. Let's get into this first voicemail. This one's from Darius.
What's going on, gentlemen? We have finally come to a conclusion here on 2024 season. I'm glad we beat the Pack. That's always a good thing, man, to beat the Pack. I didn't think we were going to do it. I thought they were going to fuck it up at the end like always, but hey, man, they pulled it out. So let's at least go ahead and tip our cap to them. Let's tip our cap to Thomas Brown for finally beating the Packers, which is something that, the last two coaches, for whatever reason, maybe even the last three coaches couldn't do. But let's talk about the type of offense, man, that we need next. I saw a lot of things I didn't like in this game. All right. Can y'all explain to me why every goddamn wide receiver route is schemed to go toward the sideline? Don't tell me that ain't the case, because it is. Every single wide receiver route with this offense is schemed to go toward the sideline. Look at all the great offenses in the league. Look at Detroit. Look at Kansas City. They attack the middle of the field, and they attack down the field. I'm sitting here looking at Green Bay playing tight, close man-to-man coverage with one safety over the top, and we're not going downfield? So I guess DJ Moore is only good for screen routes. He has no other ability. It doesn't make sense, man. I'm glad we beat the Pack. I'm not happy with the way we won, just simply due to the fact that, the defense plays fucking lights out. Thank you, defense. I wish y'all would have been doing that all season, but thank God the defense showed up today. But I'm not okay with the same shit, man. I'm tired of screen passes. I'm tired of 15 yards and then toward the sideline. If you look at the way that Green Bay was playing us when they played zone, they're guarding the outside routes. They're guarding the sidelines because they know we're not going to throw down the middle. They know we're not going to take that chance. And the first couple times that we did a quick slant to DJ over the middle, it was a success. It was a first down. So is there something that I'm not seeing, guys? Like, why are we not attacking the middle of the field? Why are we only throwing balls toward the sideline? This offense has become, once again, too predictable. Because when you play the Bears, all you have to do is guard the sidelines. They're not going to attack over the middle. They're not going to attack down the field. And you pretty much got you a win. You can hold the Bears to under 14 points if you do that just about every time. And I don't care at this point what coach comes in. I don't care what offensive coordinator comes in. I just want somebody that makes common sense plays. If I know that from playing Madden, a quick slant beats cover two, then goddamn it, why don't the Chicago Bears know it? I don't know, man. Texas up, bear down. I guess go White Sox.
Beating the Packers, great. Make no mistake about it. As a Bears fan, to say that we beat the Packers is great. But listen, this momentary success, if you want to call it that, we got to have sustained success. I listen, this momentary shit don't mean nothing to me in the long run. It's a great feel-good thing to, like, end the season on a win against your rivals who really haven't been a rivalry in almost a decade. But overall, cool. You got the win. Now, as you said, we got a lot of things that need to work. And that's why I think that, I know you compare Ben Johnson to Matt Nagy, Darius, which I still don't see what you're doing there other than sometimes, Darius, I love you, bro, but sometimes you make broad comparisons to things like and not look at the people, right? Now, as far as the Bears not attacking or always everything going to the sideline, yeah. we know that it's been simplistic, right? We thought initially it was simplistic because of Justin Fields. Now you got Caleb Williams, but the Bears need a creative offense. That's why I hope that even if they get a defensive-minded head coach, they go out and find the right guy with the right mindset to get the offensive coordinator in here who's going to really run this offense. The Bears need a more dynamic offense. We have too much skill on that offensive side of the ball once we improve the offensive line, so that we should not be running such a simplistic and Bears bones offense. We got to get creative in that. And let's hope that we can do it. The Bears got to get up with the times. The Bulls changed the offense. Can the Bears do it? Let's see if they can. But great voicemail as always, Darius. And let's hope that overall, like, we just see a more dynamic scheme overall, and we can be one of those offenses we look at and say, hey, we got a little something special here. But all right, let's get into the next voicemail, man. This one's from 7.
Yo, peace and blessings. What's good? It's your boy 7 once again. Straight from Inglewood. What's good? But I wanted to, man, I'm really happy about the Bears winning finally. You know, seeing them doing their thing and man, showing improving, and they're finally not. Because I thought, hey, just like anybody else, I thought it was about to be over with that little fumble from DJ. So I'm glad it didn't turn into what I thought it could have been based on the history we had before. But I'm still of the mentality that, man, Jalen Johnson, I think, like, with all the noise he's been making, him being a Pro Bowler and all that, man, we need to go ahead and trade him right now. Just go ahead and trade him, and if we can get a lineman, like a dope D tackle, a lineman or some draft picks or something like that for him, perfect. I'm cool with Stevenson. Stevenson at least can tackle, because your boy Johnson, I mean, aside from that fumble that he did get, and I give him props for that, but aside from that, I mean, the dude made one tackle and he got drugged for like 7-8 yards in the process. Any other tackle that he could have made that came his way, he bypassed that thing like it wasn't nothing. And Stevenson, I'm okay with him giving up one big play a game if that also means that he's going to be tackling like he was today, because that boy hit. So, look, he also gave up a bad thing, but you know what I'm saying? A bad play, but he also is going to knock somebody out and hit somebody, unlike Jalen Johnson. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm cool with Terrell Smith being here for Jalen Johnson until we get another cornerback. So I just want to know what y'all thought about something like that. And, man, Drip, I just wanted to say real quick, I see why they call you Drip, because, man, your fits be on. I need something like that next time I go to London so I can represent you, dig? Big Steve and C-Dub, love y'all. Bobby, I wanted to say what's good. My parents also went to Inglewood High. I probably got you by like $1 or a nickel or something like that. But anyway, holla at your boy. Peace. And I'm out.
First of all, trading Jalen Johnson is a wild take, my boy. Here's the thing, right? I get what you're saying as far as Jalen. Is Jalen perfect? Does he make mistakes? Yes, he does make mistakes. But Jalen Johnson is a leader on that defense. And while it did slip, let me be clear here, his play over the back half of that season, it slipped greatly. But let's not confuse it that Jalen Johnson is still a guy who can shut down a whole side of the field. And I think if we actually change our defensive scheme to less of the cover 2, less of that antiquated system, and use more man coverage, you're going to see even better in that, in my opinion. So, no, I personally don't want to see Jalen Johnson traded. I think that we have enough assets going into this to where we can improve the offensive line and defense of the trenches. Overall, I don't think we need to trade somebody who's a talent like Jalen Johnson. Yeah, I don't think you need to do that. And his, like, yeah, we have talent in that secondary, but you want a deep. This is the NFL and the NFC North. You want a talented deep secondary, and I think all the varying talent that we have in that secondary as well is going to be really important. So I don't want to trade anybody in that secondary. I want to focus on adding to this team right now rather than take anything away with the veterans that we have here. And that's just my personal opinion. I'm sure, like, listen, there are people going to listen to this. I want to hear their opinions. If you agree with 7 and you think that the Bears should look to trade Jalen Johnson, I'd love to hear from it. I'd love to hear the reasoning because, listen, I get it. Everybody wants this team to improve, right? And you want this team to be better. And what we went through this season, Bears fans don't want to deal with another season of that bull crap. So I understand that this. I'm not at the point of wanting to trade Jalen Johnson, personally. That's just my personal opinion. But all right, let's get into the next voicemail, the last one on today's episode. Let's get into this one from Keys.
Yo, what's up, fellas? It's Keys, man, on this Sunday. After that Bears win, FGB, as my man Bobby was saying, the rest of the crew. I want to commend the Bears today. You know, they could have laid down and just laid an egg and not fought through it or anything of that nature like that. But as a player, bro, being a former player, you play with a sense of pride, man. And you can make all the millions you want to, but to see them fight through the adversity and come back and win that game the way they did, I'm proud of the team. I'm proud to be a fan of the team. DJ Moore, I hope we can put to rest that talk about getting rid of him as our number one. Because he did show up. Now, he had the fumble, but you seen him and Caleb, they just put the team on their back, especially Caleb, man. He made some big plays when he needed to. And you put the ball in your best player's hands. Like, I'm willing to take a loss if we just let him do what he needs to do. That's the thing. He showed in that drive why he is that number one pick and why we chose him instead of keeping Justin. Now, we can probably put to bed the whole Caleb versus Justin talk, Caleb versus Justin, with that win. It doesn't change. It changes. It brings the confidence into the offseason. You don't go in upset at an 11-game losing streak. But I think I give a kudos to the line too, man, the offensive line. Even though we gave up the one sack, and there was a couple of times Caleb could have taken sacks, but he got his way out of it. They actually did a pretty decent job today protecting him. That weighs on you a lot as a player, but hopefully now we go into this off season and we get the direction right of who is the leader, and whoever we choose to be the leader, whether it is Van Johnson or Mike Vrabel, it'll make them see that today it does mean something to these players. And this is a group that you would want to coach, and you know what you have to fix and build up. So whoever we pick, hopefully it's the right pick. I don't care if I would love to see Van Johnson for the fact of helping Caleb grow as a player. I could understand Mike Vrabel, the disciplinarian and everything of that nature like that. But whoever we get, man, I hope it just shows them that, hey, this team can be something. And we got the top 10 pick again for another year. But just don't mess this up. Get that left tackle that we need, or the best offensive lineman if we can trade down, accumulate some more picks. Let's just get this boy some protection and build up our trenches. Let me know what you think, guys. As always, Chi-Town up, bear down, FGB.
Yeah, getting the win's important, right? I said that at the top. But getting rid of DJ Moore, I don't think there was many. Well, no, there were some. There were people who were like, oh my God, he's a cancer. Once somebody says that, everybody just repeats the same terminology. And that's how I know they don't really have their own mindset. But no, I do think that DJ can be passed up as the wide receiver one by Rome Odunze. I definitely think that. But, wide receiver one, wide receiver two in modern day football is not really that big of a difference, right? So I'm not even going to focus on that. But no, DJ Moore should not leave the Chicago Bears. The Bears should not get rid of DJ Moore. They could look to trade him. And I talked about that. It was talked about before by, I think, Tom Pellericcio. But, and we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But I think you want to keep the talent, fix the offensive line. Caleb hopefully hits a lot of growth from year one to year two. And we'll see what's going to happen there. And I love how you ended it as well, talking about Caleb Williams in his fourth quarter drives. If Caleb is able to tap into even 70% of how he plays in the fourth quarters in some of these games and make that how he plays for the full game, it's going to be big. And I think what the thing with Caleb, and I said this in yesterday's post-game show, Caleb Williams just has to realize that in the NFL, those big plays that you wait to open up aren't going to happen as often as what it did in college. Right, and he's going to have to make a decision whether to go to a check down, whether to make a play with his leg, whether to take something shorter to set up the plays down the field longer. Like, you have to set things up. And I think that's going to be a big learning curve, as well as the accuracy for Caleb Williams from year one to year two. If he can do that, I think that we're going to have a really big set. I mean, he already had the best rookie season for Chicago Bears quarterback ever, right? So, now he needs to, and like I said before, I think this season was important for Caleb realizing it's going to take a lot more than just arm talent to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. And there's some humbling in that was done for Caleb. Maybe he needed that to an extent. We'll see what happens there. But you guys can always let me know what you guys think down below. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bear Central. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you people, you lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.